Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the 2022 Masters. This is my picks and fade show where I go through all the analysis on my picks. We go through we don't go through the whole field, but we're going to go through from the top price guy, which I believe is Scotty Scheffler, down to the 7,000 range. Going to give you my 15 guys from that. Tomorrow I'll give you my top 5 plays under the 7,000 range. And of course, it's getting pretty exciting. Of course, tons of coverage on Mr. Tiger Woods there practicing, and we are in the holy week of golf and getting ready to experience what we know as the Masters. Sounds like the course is in immaculate condition, even though we got some weather coming. Well, that said, let's talk a little golf. Okay, first let's talk about the giveaway I got going on for the Masters. One more day to get your entries in. And what is it? I am randomly selecting 5 winners who will win $100 each. So you can put some of that money maybe towards the Millie Maker, whatever your heart desires. All you have to do is simply click the like button for this video. And if you're not a subscriber, click that subscribe button and just tell me below, who do you think is going to win this Masters? I should actually do, who thinks that Tiger is actually going to play? But we're going to keep it with what it is. Who do you think is going to win the Masters? And I will put it in the random generator, and it's going to spit out 5 people, and I will notify you and send you over through PayPal that money. So again, to summarize, click the like button, subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and just tell me below in the comments, who do you think is going to win the Masters? Okay, real quickly, I do want to talk about the Valero because I put out the preview show during the Valero, and just a couple comments. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this. But of course, as we all know now, JJ Spawn did end up winning, putting on those black boots. Of course, it's huge for him. I'm sure you've heard a little bit, but you know, he lost his card right around the COVID era, right before, so he got to keep it. Then he had to go back last year and go and qualify through the Korn Ferry playoffs. And of course, he was dealing with some health issues, which he found out that he was diagnosed as type 1 diabetes. I actually find out he's type 2. But what I told you guys, and of course, yes, I did pick him as one of my 7K value plays and below, was what I was seeing. And, I knew about that he was feeling a lot better and that his golf game was just, increasingly getting better and better. And really, he was a stable play. I did not pick him to win that tournament. What I picked is that at his price tag, I think it was $6,800 from a DFS perspective, that he was a really good play to get you, maybe a top 20. And I like just the way he was doing it. And you could see with recent form and what was going on. What's most interesting about it was, as much as I like JJ Spawn, he shot 13 under, won by 2 strokes, I believe it was that really the tournament was given away. I don't think he went out and just, set the field ablaze and won it. If you think of Russell Knox, who was one of my picks too, was out the first day, shoots 7 under, and there was other guys that were 6 under and whatnot. And then he just fell back throughout the rest of the tournament. Then you had Ryan Palmer, who I didn't pick, but I, was very interested in because, of course, local ties. But his game just wasn't showing as much like Charlie Hoffman, where course history finally showed up and said, nope, if you're in terrible recent form, I don't care how good you've been on this course, you're not making the cut. And that's what happened to Charlie Hoffman. With Ryan Palmer, he led after day 2, 10 under. And then again, same thing, fell back the next 2 days. Then you on Saturday, I should say, third day, Saturday, you had like 3 or 4 guys that were 10 under going into the morning. And all those guys, the Fratelli, you had Bo Hostler, maybe it was Kuchar, it doesn't matter. Really those guys did absolutely nothing. Bo Hostler was hitting it all over the lot. Luckily, he had some chip-ins and stuff to keep in there. But long story short, JJ Spawn on Sunday just played a really solid round of golf. So nobody went out and really challenged him. That's how I feel. His steady golf won it, but to shoot 13 under those conditions, which there was a little win, I believe it was on Friday, but that was it. I mean, and of course the field being what it was. But long story short, congrats to JJ. That's all I'm going to talk about. I do have some stroke gain data I'll show you real fast. And then, of course, I'm jumping on the Tiger Woods bandwagon. This was actually a day ago. They just showed him earlier on the Golf Channel, on a pitch count, kind of doing like, chipping 10 balls around the green, hitting a few on the driving range, and he's out playing a few holes with Fred Couples and JT as we speak. And I don't know if they do have a way to bet if he's actually going to play or not. That should be actually, an interesting bet. But that, where I kind of sit is if he plays, he thinks he has a chance. And of course, we'll talk a little about his record. Of course, I think this will be his 24th time at the Masters. Played 23, couple as an amateur, Missed the cut, I believe, once in '96 as an amateur. 5 wins, 2001, 2002 back to back, like just ridiculous. As in course knowledge, there's some of the older guys that might have played a few more rounds than him, but yeah, nobody knows the course better. So with what swing he has, if he can put the ball where he wants, it's the chipping and putting is where it's at. He'll probably give it a go, but it's also, if he makes the cut, walking that course for 4 days, that's also probably the biggest hurdle that he's trying to figure out. So, anyways, we'll see how that all shakes out. And if anybody does know if there's somewhere where you can bet the odds of if he plays or not, I'd be interested in that. All right. And then lastly, and then we'll move on, is if you wanted to see stroke gain data, on how these guys did, it's kind of crazy. This shows a little bit that, he wins the tournament shooting less than 12 strokes, typically you're somewhere around 15, 16. Your next one was would have been Matt. Well, actually, it'd be Matt Jones, who had that crazy Sunday. Matt Kuchar, and then kind of going down. But this is a lot of red. I feel like for the top 15 guys that ended up placing. You can see Kuchar did it all with the putter. Actually, lost off the tee. But anyways, I just wanted to quickly show this to you if you had any curiosity. What I probably should have shown, I just didn't have time, was Jordan Spieth fee. Now, I did have it yesterday where I had all the information up for the guys that are actually playing in the Masters. Long story short, something happened. It lost, and now it's really hard to go get that back because Fantasy Nationals moved on. So neither here or there. You can pause the video if you want to look deeper into this. I'm not going to go over a whole lot more than that. All right. And then if you missed the show yesterday, what am I looking at for a skill set rankings from a stroke gain analysis on the guys, what they need to do well here? I mean, no shocker. You got to be a great ball striker. Approach shows up probably number one, around the green, off the tee. Trying to figure out who's going to have that spike putting week. That's hard. And if you look at the two guys, Hideki and then, of course, Will Z last year, neither of them are good putters historically or typically. And so, there you go. Try to figure it out who's going to putt really well on those fast bent greens. But I am going to be looking at scrambling, sand saves. The proximities that show up the most is 150 to 175, 23%, 175 to 200, 20%. Try to gain, you got to gain on the par fives. You want to manage the par fours. And there's a couple par threes where it is possible to strike depending on where the pin position will be. And then, of course, a couple eagle holes on the par fives. And then, you got to make some birdies when you can. So that is what is my overall larger model that we'll talk a little bit about. And then I wanted to pull this up for you guys because there's a couple things you can do. As mentioned, stroke gain data is not readily available at the Masters. Nothing is. Like I said, it's kind of like a monk cult that runs this thing. Right? They have their own rules. If you talk too loud, you'll be banned for life. It is crazy. And so even with the stroke gain analysis and a lot of all the information that I typically get from PGA Tour communications, there's nothing out there. But what we can look at historically is what we call kind of the old stroke gain data, or the old data, which is green and reg, fairways and reg, sand saves, pars, birdies, eagles, 3-putt avoidance. That is stuff that I can pull. And I was kind of interested. So I do this typically for Augusta just to see. And if you want to see the top 15 guys that have done that over the past, it would be 6 tournaments here, 24 rounds, right? So yeah, 4 or 6. Of course, some of these guys like Will Z and Victor are not going to have that many rounds, but it's just kind of interesting. So if you want to see the top 15 guys, you can see the weight. I put 25%. Again, the approach, green and reg, off the tee would be the 20% fairways game. We don't have distance. Sand, right? You get these bunkers. You got to be a good sand player, and it's great sand. Typically, you can do very well out of it. And then, of course, make your pars, attack with the birdies, and then, eagles, and then 3-putt avoidance. I mean, what I'd want to know probably more, and what I can look at on other historical data, is guys that make the 5 to 10 footers. But 3-putt avoidance does show up here. I did it for a more recent example. So I looked over the last 3 tournaments played here, and it gives you a little different picture. Same information. But Corey Connors, because of the top, Rahm, Henley, Thomas, Answer. You can see the rest of the guys. Tiger Woods sneaks in there at the very bottom. And so that just gives you a little more information, if you're sitting there trying to figure out who you want to pick from a DFS perspective, or maybe even from a betting perspective. And then the last thing I just thought was kind of interesting. I wanted to see within the field. Now, I will state, this isn't including the Larry Mize's and the Fred Couples and the VJ Singhs, like guys that actually have a possibility of winning this tournament. I would actually, out of that group, if you want to know, Bernard Longer would be the guy that I think could make the cut and do something. Freddie Couples has done it in the past too, but if you want Bearman pricing, we'll talk about that tomorrow more. But Bernhard Longer would be someone I would look at. But if you want to know the top three guys with experience that would have a shot of winning this thing, I'll start right off the bat. Of course, we already talked a little bit about Tiger Woods. Of course, he'll be his 24th event. He's played her 23 times. Funny enough, Fantasy National only goes back to 03, but we all know as an amateur, he played in 95, 96. He missed the cut as an amateur. Of course, came back and blitzkrieged the field in 97 and won the thing. And he won it in 01. He won it back-to-back 02. And then you can see the rest of the data here with 2 more wins, which gives him 5. And then a ton of, I think, 12 top 5 finishes. So yeah, ridiculous. So no shocker that he wants to play in this tournament because this is his baby. This is his course that he can definitely do something on. So we'll see. If you're curious who's the second, is actually Mr. Adam Scott, where this will be his 20th appearance, and he's had 19 previous, and he's only missed the cut, I believe, twice. So back here in 04 and 09, he's had, of course, one in 2013, where he gained 14 and a half strokes against the field. He had a 13 strokes when he had that runner up in 2011. So, and I actually like where his game at is right now. And I'm saying like over the last few tournaments he's played in. Of course, he struggled last year, a bit like DJ with the driver. He was trying all kinds of different drivers, and that was not working out. Typically a very elite ball striker. Of course, Shoney's can play in the win from Australia. And when that putter gets hot, which it can, and he's a pretty decent putter overall his career, could definitely be someone that we want to look at. And then the next guy who came out last year, kind of shockingly, opening round, and I believe he shot, I'm going by pure memory, it was like either 6 under or 7 under, something like that, but was shockingly led the field. And coming in, he was not playing that good of golf. But of course, he has a ton of experience here too. He has only missed a cut once, and that was back in 2019. This will be his 17th appearance. Of course, you can see that 7th that, he kind of had a really good opening round, really didn't do a whole lot, just kind of held steady Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Of course, a runner-up back in 2017, 2015, but actually has not won this event yet. So those are 3 guys. You're looking who has the most experience with this course that, again, are relative and have a shot of winning this thing. Of course, those are the guys we'd be looking at. All right, last thing I will do is I always do comparable courses. This is probably the toughest one. I've stated that before. But if you are looking for comparable courses to bang these guys against, the Memorial course at Murfield, Jack's Place, it's bent grass, par 72, over 7,400 yards. Wells Fargo, though, kind of specs out the same place, but it is Bermuda greens. East Lake is a par 70, I believe, off the top of my head, but it's like 7,300 yards, so it's a really long course for a par 70, and I believe that has bent greens. And then, but also has the trees, the water. A lot of these courses kind of have some similarities. And then, of course, I mentioned the CJ Cup, the 2 played at Vegas, Shadow Creek. That is they pretty much built Augusta to some degree in the desert. But there was only one event played there, and that was back, 2020 when Kokrak won. But if you look at the specs, 7,500 yards, par 72, bent greens. And then the Summit Club, also very similar, bent greens, par 72, and a little over 7,400 yards. And if you plug that in, of course, including Augusta National, but only some of this data would come in from Augusta. These are the guys that come out looking over the past, again, 6 tournaments on these kind of tracks. Xander shows up number 1, Scott, Rahm, Cantlay, Morikawa, Molinari, which is interesting, right? Had that shot in 2019. You got JT, Hatton, Woods, Henley, Scheffler, Palmer, Hovland, Lowry, and McIlroy. So if you want to know who does well on these kind of courses, those are some of the guys that pop up. All right, with that said, let's go jump over into Fantasy National. Let's do some analysis. And then I will come back and summarize my top 15 plays, and we'll talk about some of the fades that I'm looking for while we're in the analysis. Okay, so I've jumped over into Fantasy National, and if you've not checked these guys out, if you are going to be doing your own analysis, especially if you are specifically to golf, because that's everything this is, check out fantasynational.com. They offer all kinds of different packages from weekly, monthly, so on and so forth. It is a great tool. It is what I use to do a ton of my analysis. With that said, we're going to be focused on DraftKings pricing. So from a DFS perspective, just keep an eye on that. Of course, you can use these picks within FanDuel, Yahoo, but the pricing is going to be different. I'm actually taking a little larger sample than usually. Typically, I pull I like to do more recent forms, the last few tournaments. But given what some of these guys have played in and have not played in, taking a little larger sample, so we're going to look at their last 24 rounds of golf, which to some people they say that's super recent form, and to some people, everybody has their own opinion. My opinion is these guys' games go up and down like a roller coaster, and I don't want to pull large samples of data because you're going to get things that are just not relative. So I've got no filters on over here. That means I'm not picking green type or par or none of that. I've already done some pre-analysis on this. I went through from a putting perspective, looked at their putting splits and kind of weeded out. I wanted to see the guys who putt the best on bent grass. That's already been done. It doesn't mean where my final picks end up that they're the best bent putter, but it does weigh into my decisions. What you're seeing here is a mini model. Taking that big model we talked about earlier, I've kind of siphoned it down into the key areas that I'm going to look at: ball striking, approach, off the tee, around the green, and then that 5 to 10 foot range. If you watch a lot of the Masters and you know it well, the guys that think of Tiger Woods was the best putter within 10 feet. That does show up over and over again. Yeah, I kind of went with 3-putt avoidance. I was kind of back and forth, but I decided to fall on that. If you want to know who's making the most birdies over the last 3 tournaments they played, of course, you want to see this spiking up to the right. If you see red, it means they were not making very many birdies at that time frame. You also get to see the last 5 tournaments they played in and what their results are. You'll see that over here. If I click on that, we'll also see tournament history here at Augusta. All right, with that said, the first guy, the most expensive, which is a little shocking, but is Scotty Scheffler. He's coming in at 11 grand. And the guy's just been in fuego, right? Not a bad word I could say about Scotty's game. And really the only reason why I'm fading him from a DFS perspective is typically I tell you guys I do usually fade the most expensive, right? It would have worked out pretty well last weekend with Rory at, of course, the Valero. Most times out of not, and it's not saying that he's not going to have a top 20 finish. I just think for being the most expensive price golfer that I just don't see it for me. And like I said, I'm also have a bit of way. I mean, the one tournament that coursed experience and history probably is the number one is, of course, here at Augusta for the Masters. Now he's played here twice. He played here once in the fall. That was total different conditions that you could almost just throw out if you're trying to look at historical data on how people are do. Now, of course, last year under tougher conditions, he had a T18, so very respectable. But I think the recent wins, of course, and his current status and all that, and world ranking number ones, of course, that's why he's priced where he's at, even from a betting odds perspective. So I'm not saying don't play Scotty Scheffler. I'm saying for me personally, when I do my bills in DFS, I will probably maybe have a sprinkle of him, but he will not be one of the main guys that's making it into my main group of 20 players that I'll work with to do most of my DF picks. So the next guy you can come to is Jon Rahm. And of course, you can see his recent, of course, the players, he had a T55, but that has nothing to do with it at all. And what you don't see up there is the WGC Dell match plays where, of course, he won, which again, it's nothing. I don't know how much you'd want to take in match play and figure that out, but to get his game's in amazing form. Okay, Jon Rahm. I'm going to make this real quick. These 2 things right here still got me freaked out. And what you need to do around here very well is chip and putt. You can also see it's affected some of his, recent finishes. Again, I'm not going to hold the players that much against him. Also, his match play. Now, I've totally forgot if he made it out of his pot or not. I remember Reed beat him on the last day. It doesn't matter. He didn't do very well. We'll just put it that way at the WGC match play. But again, it's match play. I don't hold that against him. But you can kind of see, I mean, for Rahm, a T10, a T21, a T17, a T50, he is struggling a little bit. And if you've seen any of his pressers and you bring it up to him, he's going to freak out. Now, he does have a valid point, right? He hits his irons typically, pretty close. I mean, proximity typically within 20 feet on most of the approach shots he has. So if you're missing a bunch of putts from 20 feet in, or 10 feet in, it really kind of skews your putting ranking, right? So, but like I said, for 10-8, second guy in, you can see very highly owned. Funny enough, though, from a one and done perspective, I'm kind of thinking about him. So we'll see. And again, I'm not telling you not to play Jon Rahm. I'm saying from my player pool that I'm putting together for the Masters, he will not be one of the persons that I'm focused on. I've got these guys that we'll talk about shortly. Okay, moving on. Oh, if you want to see his tournament history, has been amazing. A T5, a T7, a T9, a T4, T27. So that's looking at the last five, and I believe he's played in five. I don't think he's played any more than that. So this will be his sixth tournament, and I stated, I don't know if I stated it again today, but stated it for sure yesterday. On average, whoever wins this thing typically has played this thing 6 times, and I think it's true. I think I want to look. You want to look for guys that have got some experience here, but also blend it with recent form and all that good stuff. All right, Dustin Johnson. So Dustin's where my first place I'm landing on, which is a little shocking if you'd asked me, I don't know, a few weeks ago, I would have probably been fading him. But I think DJ's in a little better, his game's in a better space. I think his head's in a better space. He's going to want to come out here and do really well. And he's one of those guys, like a Brooks Koepka, that he's at that point in his career where there's certain tournaments that he's going to rise to the occasion. And of course, the Masters is going to be one of them. Also, we saw what he did in the match play. Again, I'm not saying we're going to sit there and that's where we want to put it all. But for me, it was just seeing that his game, and what's been really good is that his putter, what is the most that's got me most interested in DJ is what he's been doing with the putter. He's an elite ball striker around the green. It's kind of interesting. I think he's actually been better than that. You see his recent form has been you could say. Of course, he's got, the win here, but it was on, during the fall, and then he missed the cut in the hard one. So, that might get some people off him. But also what I knew at that time was he was kind of in vacation mode after he won this one right here. So it's not a shocker that he came out and missed the cut. I just want to click on him real quick. You can see he gains on all surfaces. POA showing to be his best over 12 months. Pretty low, as we all know, distance off the tee, pretty accurate, almost 60%. What I wanted to look at is just what was going on around the green and the putter. So, of course, he had a good, pretty decent FedEx Cup. But yeah, he has been a little bit losing. But this is what I was most interested in right here, was that he was gaining off the tee, gaining on approach. Had a good putting out at the Players, not so great at the Valspar. But again, I don't know. I don't know how much he was that interested in winning the Valspar, to be honest. So DJ is where I'm landing first. The next guy in which I think everybody's super excited about playing and betting is of course JT. Right. I feel like this is a little bit like Rory when he was trying to get his fourth, as he still is. You can see pretty good recent, a T21, a fourth. Again, this was back in the fall Masters, a T12, a T17, a T22. Really good recent form. What was freaking me about JT was his putter. He struggled. We'll go look at him real quick. You also see the driver, again, over a 12-year rolling period. But he's been hitting the driver really, really nice. That has not been the issue. You can see he has over the last 12 months, lost a little bit on bent. But like if we go back here, this is going back to last summer where he was losing like 8 strokes, 5 strokes, 3 strokes. Last worst was in the Phoenix that almost lost 3 strokes. Of course, he would have won the Phoenix if he just would have broke neutral with the putter, the waste management, but did not happen. But you can see this is what's got me a little more excited. We all know what he's got with his short game, his irons. He's got the game. It's just, what is that putter going to do? While we're here, I just want to see what he's, what am I thinking? I wanted to see what he's done putting-wise at the Masters, but of course we don't have that information. So, I could try to go dig it up somewhere else, but I don't know how much I trust it. Long story short, I like JT. I don't think I need to sell you on playing JT. That's where I'm at. Now you pretty much have a decision. The way I look at it is, you can play them both, but Morikawa or Victor Hovland. And Morikawa was on the Golf Channel. He's doing his presser as we speak. Well, I think it's over now. And long story short, what he's kind of stating is why he's not had the best results here. So a T18, a T44 was at, he came here saying that, he had to play the draw off a lot of tees, wasn't being himself, yada, yada, yada. For me, what's got me nervous is I've watched a bit of bad golf. Now, of course, he had that T2 at the Genesis back on the West Coast, but the Players I'm not worried about, but what I saw at the Valspar concerned me. He was missing off the tee. He was missing with the irons. He couldn't make a putt. He was just bad. And guys are going to have bad tournaments. I understand that. But I've got to make a decision. The way I look at it, pretty much for me, is when you've got Victor or Colin right next to each other at the same price tag, pretty much, I'm gonna go with Victor, and of course Victor's won 3 out of his last. I don't know. A lot of it was international, right? He had the Hero, he had Mayakoba, but he's been playing good golf. Now the Valspar also did not work out so well for him. Um, a bit of it was he was also not making any putts, but he was also missing a few tee. But you can see, over his last 6 tournaments, tee to green, just ridiculous. And then that inside 10 feet, he's been making those. He's ranked 13th out of this whole field. So the putter's been better. We'll go click on Victor. Of course, we all know, pokes the ball out there, very accurate. It's kind of funny. I was just looking at his ownership ranking right there. And, tee to green, he's making it happen. It's what's that putter going to do? And again, I would love to be able to sit there and do analysis with these guys. I mean, what I can do, let's do this. I got an idea. So let's look at where he's put the best. So the CJ Cup, that should be bent. Yeah. So there's that Summit Club I was mentioning as a comp course. It's a bent green. That's his best putting outing ever. So do what you want with that. But that was this past fall. He gained 5.5. Now you can also see, though, this is what's always interesting is, he wasn't hitting the ball very close to the pin. So, he had to make some maybe longer putts. The Northern Trust, that I don't know. Don't remember. TPC Boston. If I had to guess, that would be bent greens. What does it show on here? Yeah, it doesn't show that he over. All right, let's see what else. The Genesis, that'd be POA. The PGA, that's bent. That's interesting at Harding Park. What I would just, whenever I think of course that's in California, I just always think it would be bent, but or it would be POA. I'm sorry, mixed words. Rocket Mortgage, those are definitely bent greens here in Detroit. You got POA, Bermuda, Greenbrier's bent, Bermuda, PGA, Whistling? Oh, that was Kiowa. But anyways, he's had a lot of good outings putting on bent. So again, do what you want with that. I was just curious for my own knowledge, so we're learning as we go. Rory McIlroy, right? I mean, didn't look at the Valero, but I wouldn't hold that. I mean, I don't know where his headspace was. Did he really care? I think I don't know now if it's every 2-year rotation. It used to be every 4 years. These guys had to include a new tournament. It was kind of the rules of the PGA. So they weren't kept skipping the same ones and the big names weren't showing up, or you had no big names at some of these tournaments like the Valero. Long story short, so I don't hold that against him. It's the two things that have been going on with Rory, and you're not going to see that I know, is the 100 to 125 yard approach has been disastrous for him. The putter is still, very on or off. We'll go just take a quick look at that, dive a little deeper. So you can see here, last 3 outings, he's lost with the putter. But before that, gained 5, 6. This is when we all got a little excited when we saw Rory's putter. Then was the pitching wedges. It was the wedges in. So with that said, I mean, of course, I think he comes here with a bit of stress. I'm not saying he's going to come here with the weight of, hey, I need that 4th major to be in that elite club, but he's had great finishes. Will I sprinkle him? Yes, but he will not be in my core kind of build group. The guy that I'm going to is Cam Smith. I'm a huge Cam Smith fan. If you heard the show yesterday, I've been on Cam for the last 3 years. I've been watching this just progress and get better and better. Now you can see it's off the tee, but funny enough, he was also had a presser today and just stated that I think it was hole number 11 that they modified. It was actually better for him because he stated that they widened the fairways and they made it, around the greens a little tougher to chip. And of course that fits him perfect. But yeah, I mean, of course he won the Players, and some people I think even commented, which I appreciate all your guys' comments and information. You guys give me some great information that, I don't even know. So it's a community, right? But that I think it was Tiger is the only other person that'll go win the Players and then win Augusta. So, yeah, it could be tough for him to win, but I just, for what I'm looking for in a skill set and is him, he's the prototypical. I wish the driver could be a little more accurate, but then he would be world number 1. Anyways, you can see great history here at Augusta. He had a T10 last year. The fall special was a T2 when DJ won, a T51, a T5, and a T55. I think his headspace and how he handles adversity and just how chill he is. I mean, I don't know. I think his demeanor, if that is his true demeanor all the time while on the course, which it seems like it is, that's an amazing way to be able to play golf. And I think he's got all the confidence in the world. And so, yeah, I'm stoked to play Cam Smith at 9,900. I mean, my own personal opinion, I think he's better than probably, I don't know, I would put him up even over DJ. I'm not saying he's better than JT, but I think he's better than DJ. That's my own personal opinion. Jordan Spieth, right? I mean, here's the great anomaly. Here's course history versus recent form. Now, I did say he had a really good outing. If you did not see the Sunday round, he could have literally been 8 or 9 under just on Sunday. He missed so many 3 to 5 footers, which is very un-Jordan like. But he's been struggling with the putter. He's actually been ball striking pretty good. I mean, the driver looks good. He's gained 8 to 10 yards, which has been well documented. The irons have been looking pretty good. Short game still fine by me, what I've seen. It's the putter. And so you can see he's also not making the birdies that he typically does. So with that said, I mean, that's a pretty lofty price tag. If he was, I don't know, 8,900, probably have a different feeling from a DFS perspective. Of course, we all know, past champion, should have won it again. I believe, what was that, 2017 or 16? I forget now. Let's go see. Now I'm interested. When he collapsed on, I forgot, what was it? I don't think it was a par 3, was it? I forget now. It was a while ago. Maybe, 2016, I believe, was when he had the great collapse. But you can see, even when he was playing pretty bad golf, he had 11th, a 3rd, and a 21st. During this era was the Jordan Spieth kind of just, double miss, had no clue where it was going. Also, on a side note, he is still tinkering with that swing. Just trying to really make sure he doesn't get that left pull hook, which, I don't know. It's kind of crazy that I always kind of felt like he was a natural fader, but maybe that's just what he's been doing. I've been seeing. Neither here or there. Maybe he'll just play creative Jordan Spieth golf. This is the course. And I think he's even stated that, like, this course kind of frees him up to not hopefully worry about the technical side and just play golf and just do what you do. All right, the next one I'm falling to actually is Xander. You can make an argument not to play Xander. Now, from a modeling perspective, it looks pretty good. The birdie is kind of recent results are kind of Of course history, I think, is pretty good to take the last 3 years. Well, really good. I like him because of the putting. I still believe Xander is a really good putter. His game fits this course as in he's just kind of a steady. He's got the length. He's got the shots. Of course, he had that oopsie on the par 3 last year that kind of threw him back. But yeah, I like Xander. I don't think I need probably sell you on Xander at all. We'll go click on him just so you can see some other details. But again, he's got the pop, pretty accurate. He can get think about this. What I've seen is he will sometimes get the lefts, the hooks with the draw or with the driver. And I have seen with the irons all of a sudden just get like this uncontrollable push out to the right. So you can see over last 12 months, he has gained on bent. And the putter hasn't been as good as, we would like to see out of Xander, but typically gaining 2 strokes. The irons have been a little off and on. And at the players, again, I'm not going to hold him. I think he had that afternoon tee time. But everything else looks pretty decent. His last best showing was at the Phoenix Open at the Waste Management. Valspar wasn't bad. Just didn't make any putts around the green. So, okay, moving on, Patrick Cantlay. Now, this was also one that I put Cantlay, funny enough, and Xander kind of together. That I don't think either of their games have got me like super pumped. But at any moment, right, could flick a switch. Of course, Cantlay's had a pretty decent success here. A 9th, a 17th, a T47, but he also has a couple missed cuts. I think everybody was shocked last year. Let's go look at leading up to the Masters. I don't know. I think he burned a lot of people. You can see bent greens are his favorite. He's had the most success on those. I just want to go back. So, all right, we missed the cut at the players, but before that, he had a second at the Amex, a third at, he was just firing. And then I think a lot of people, when you miscut at the players, we don't hold that against you too. But you can see he went on a torrid miscut run here. And then, of course, one Memorial, that was the Rahm had to pull out due to COVID. So, of course, technically Rahm should have won that one. Miscut at the Open. Did ridiculous at the FedEx. And then I kind of told you guys after the Tournament of Champions. I don't know why I always confuse that. On the way back, his putter got bent. Now you could see, I mean, it's not like his putter's been losing 3 or 4 strokes. I think when you saw this, when you gain 14.6 strokes, I've never seen that before. They like broke the putting stroke gain, record ever. I don't think anybody's gained that many strokes in one category ever. Long story short, we're just shocked when we see Patrick Cantlay struggle. But so you're going to see a lot of green here, but because he hasn't played that much golf recently, I think he's getting ready. He's going to go probably from here on be playing quite a bit of golf. He said he was going to take it quite easy in early season. Yeah, but what I'm saying is hopefully he got the putter worked out. Either got a new one that's perfect spec'd out like the other one, or he bent the other one back and he's comfortable with it. If he's good with the putter, I'm not worried about this other stuff. All right, Brooks Koepka. Of course, last year here, he missed the cut, but couldn't bend down. He was a mess. He'd be pretty much like playing DeChambeau this year, the way I look at it. Even maybe a little bit like Hideki that we're going to talk about quickly, or even Tiger Woods. I mean, he was physically not good. But you can see he's had, of course, a pretty amazing course history here. Of course, the year Tiger won, he had his chance, but plopped it in the water on, I think it was 12, if I remember correctly. But, he showed up at the Phoenix Open, okay show at the Honda. The Valspar was a T12. He also had, the really bad draw. I think literally he started out on 17, like in those crazy wins, right? Neither here or there. I think, don't let this fool you that if he's going to come out and give it everything and be where I think Brooks can play, this is going to be the tournament. I expect nothing but really good results out of him for this. And I don't think I should have to go into too much more explanation on Brooks. Of course, he bangs it out there. Accuracy has been a little bit more wayward than usual over his career, has gained on bent. You can see the putter has been a little ishy. Typically, he's a really good putter, and I like the way he putts. I mean, he's a very, how do I say, aggressive putter. Now, it's going to be a little different on these kind of greens. You can't be too aggressive on these greens, or you're going to be in big trouble. But he's not worried about that 3-4 footer coming back. All right, Hideki, real simple for me is that we don't know, as far as I'm concerned, if he's going to play or not, and if he is, what kind of condition he's going to be in. Nothing would be worse than you put a bid, and you can see ownership right now projection is really low because of that. So, of course, we know he won last year. For me, was probably one of the more. I mean, I'm not saying it's the Phil Mickelson PGA Championship kind of shocker, but it was up there because the one thing that typically is shown over and over that you have to do at Augusta is be a really good putter. Now, funny enough, the guy right below him, same thing. An amazing ball striker, just inside 10 feet. You can see he's one of the worst in this field. Outside of 10 feet, kind of like what Scotty Scheffler used to be. Scotty Scheffler, I've always said, 20 feet, I'd rather see him try to make a putt from 20 than I would 6 feet. And I feel like Will Z. Will Z's going to get it. He's going to get confidence. He's going to figure that out. Will it be this tournament? I don't know. And you're going to say, well, Kurt, he was runner-up last year. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he backdoored into that, but if you remember correctly, right, he didn't have PGA status. I kind of felt like he didn't even know to be nervous or expectations. I guarantee this tournament coming in, he's going to have expectations on him. You can also see pretty much since the Farmers, he hasn't been playing that good at golf. And I'm going to click on him. Let's just go see where the issues have been. So typically, of course, got the distance, pretty accurate. You can see, over the sample of information we have, he loses almost a half stroke on bent. But again, somehow at the Masters, which is bent, he actually had to gain strokes. We don't know what, but he had a good putting outing. But you can see over his career, he's never gained with the putter. And it's been pretty steady. Stroke and a half, stroke 0.3, 2 strokes, 2 strokes, stroke and a half. I mean, the last time he's gained was at Sanderson Farms back in October. He gained almost 4 strokes with the putter. That's amazing because he should have probably won that thing. I think Burns won that year, right? But that's the problem. So I'll be very curious. Projected ownership also is really high. So this is kind of my fade spot. I told you guys there's going to be certain areas where I know projected ownership is going to be high. One of them will be Scheffler that I'll be fading, Rahm, and Mr. Will Z. Now, I'm not saying that he's not going to make the cut, and I'm not saying he might not top 10. I don't think he'll top 10. I think he could top 20. But that's where I'm at. That's my own, again, personal opinion. Mr. DeChambeau, I'll just make it real simple. No, you weren't playing. I've stated over and over, you weren't playing that great at golf before coming in. And I'm talking about not what he did here at the FedEx Cup, which is almost a year ago now. The Century Tournament, champions, a T25 out of 38 guys, miscut at the Farmers, miscut at Valero. He's hurt too. I get it. He's hurt. I'm not bashing him. I like him. You can see projected ownership's really low. So again, I believe what was it, last year or 2020? It doesn't matter. Everybody had this guy. It was game over when he came out of, the whole changing the body experiment. Everybody was like game over. Everybody bet DeChambeau. Everybody played him, and he didn't miss cut, but he came real damn close. You can also see he's not had a great history here. So long story short, with all that, but I don't think I need to tell you not to play DeChambeau. I told you guys last week, don't play DeChambeau. I'm going to keep telling you. I'll tell you when DeChambeau looks like he's ready to get played again. But you do whatever you want with that. Daniel Berger. Now you would look at his course history and say, his best showing was the first time at T10, but it's not bad. It's not great. But I think also his game and where he's at, a lot of people say, no, Daniel Berger, he wins on short tracks. But honestly, I think his game could easily translate here. He's a really good putter. He's really good around the green. Now, this is showing lately that 5 to 10, which is actually pretty shocking. Let me go click on this real quick. I want to see what it's pulling in. Yeah, that's weird. If it's grabbing all the way back here, that's over a year ago almost. So I'm more interested in these last 4 rounds. And, that's Bermuda. That's Bermuda. That's POA. And that would be Bermuda. So, typically he has done well on Bermuda, but he's a good putter. And I like him as his game. And you can see it's been there. And I have no issues with him here. So I'll be excited. I hope he's less than 8% owned. But I'm going to be playing some Daniel Berger. Louis Oosthuizen. You can see the game is just not where it was. Also, his putter is not where it was. I've talked about this till nauseum. So no, just for me, no. I hopefully don't have to sell you. You can make your own decision. Here's his history, at least the last 5 tournaments. Pretty good. If you want 9,000 to get a T25-ish, I think you could do better. And I'd rather play Shane Lowry, who's $100 less. And you can see projected ownership showing that. Not pretty, I don't want to say exactly similar, but if you look at the last couple T20s, he had a couple miscuts, T39. I'm not going to go any further back than that. He's been playing really good golf. We'll click on Shane just so you can get a little better look. Typically pretty accurate off the tee. Hits at about 300. Good putter. Also, we know, and I'm not going to go into weather, but can definitely play in weathery conditions. There is, as in from, the practice round tomorrow might be limited, and then the par 3 the next day, they're going to get some rain. I mentioned this on the preview show, which, is going to make this course should play a little easier. But yeah, we just look at, and of course he does well in Florida, lives in Florida, but that's pretty solid numbers there. Should have won the Honda. Really bad luck with a downpour right when you're teeing off on 18 to win the damn thing. But gaining off the tee, gaining great with the irons, gaining with the putting, and he's pretty good with the short game. So I've got no issues. If I had to pick, like I said, between him and Louis, that's not even a question. Taylor Gooch, I'm a fan of Gooch. Probably the big thing that is no tournament history now. Has he played here before? Probably at some point, or at least came and did a scouting mission for at least a week or so. But I'm kind of fading guys that don't have experience. It again shows over and over. But good player, 8,700. I think it's a little steep for Taylor Gooch, so that's also part of it. And right below, I could play Burns for 8,600. I think this is a miss. I don't even understand what's going on here. Burns has won, triple the tournaments that Gooch has. Just coming off a win at the Valspar. Gooch just had a miscut and a miscut at a T-set. I don't know what happened here. They're both rookies, so I have no clue. And so you can see ownership shows that too. I mean, Burns, if I ever had to play Burns or Gooch, at least right now, I guess there is times where one Burns game was on a little bit of a dip on the West Coast. But but there's always multiple reasons why that is. But as a pure player, I will take Burns over Gooch. But they're also, to me, they are very similar on many fronts. They're both great ball strikers. I think Burns is probably a little better putter, hence why I'm also leaning that way. And he's actually the only guy that I'm playing, I believe, that has no course history, as in, under the official tournament. All right. Well, I'll click on Burns for you if you want to go take a quick look. So, of course, got popping a bat pretty accurate. He did struggle a little bit there, tee to green, but it feels like it's back again. I mentioned, typically Bermuda Burns, but yeah, you can see the driver got a little wayward for the last 10 events. The iron's still there, putting's still there. Somehow won the Valspar, losing a stroke off the tee. So yeah, hopefully he's got that figured out. Tiger Woods, I don't know what you do with that. You make your decision if he plays or not. That's where I'm going to leave it. I already talked about his to nauseum. He's you could never play DFS golf in the world, and you're going to know that Tiger Woods is really good at Augusta. So Sungjae Im, no, I can't do it. I can't watch Sungjae Im putt and miss. He's just so streaky with the putter, and his game hasn't been as elite tee to green as it used to be. So that's my quick take on Sungjae. Well, you know what? I'll give you a little more information just in case. Let's go take a look at where he's been struggling. So the irons since start of the year, he's only gained twice with his irons, and really only once at the Amex. So that's a big problem. He's losing off the tee. That's crazy because typically he's. So I'm not worried so much about the off the tee. The putter is what is just goes. So you can see both of these are on Bermuda, and the Honda is where he's won. And of course, I played him as a one and done here when he decided to go ahead and miss the cut. Neither here or there. That's maybe a little bit too. Maybe I'm still pissed about that, but not playing Sungjae Im. I'm going to go with Adam Scott. I kind of mentioned, of course, you saw I mentioned his course history, past winner. Only missed a cut. I think what I say once out of this will be his 17th try. He's been has got me excited about Adam. He's always been an elite ball striker, but he struggled last year. We can go take a quick look at that. When he was trying to find a driver, he was going through like all kinds of shafts. So let's see here where it was really bad. I mean, kind of coming out of the FedEx wasn't good. Missed a cut at the PGA. It's kind of funny. Even when I'm in my brain was like he played really bad. Like I don't see that bad. I mean, missed cut at the Northern Trust, which yeah, I guess what I saw at the Genesis. But he likes that's a comfort course for him, right? The Riv where he won. I think it was his last win. Yeah, 2020. So, anyways, of course, he's comfortable here. I think his game's in a good place. It's going to come down with the putter. But yeah, I like his recent form, 8,300. I think, ownership's up there a little bit. Joaquin Niemann, I don't know, dude. He just scared me. Had that amazing win at the Genesis, missed a cut at the Honda. Pretty good show at the Players. I mean, I don't know. I think it's probably the putter is what just terrifies me. So where is it at here? Let's go look at. Yeah, I mean, you can see at the Genesis he gained, lost these ones here. His game, I mean, if you took since November, that's pretty solid. I mean, those tee to green numbers, it's just whatever he does with the putter. Let me go. Yeah, he's only played here twice. Had a T40 last year. So right now he's not making my core player group, but you can make an argument. I will probably sprinkle him here or there. Okay, then Tony Finau. Now, if you're looking for a bright spot for Tony Finau, of course, he does typically pretty well at this course. His game has been not good, as in from a, you can see around the green and putting. But he had a good showing, a good Sunday at the Valero. And I felt like his tee to green is a little better place. And for whatever reason, we're not going to be able to see it here, but Tony typically can putt these greens pretty good. You can see bent out of his only putting surface over the last 12 months that he's actually gained. So again, I can see I will probably sprinkle some Tony in. He's not totally removed from my list, but yeah, that's where I'm at right now. He's not making the top 15. We'll put it that way. Terrell Hatton, been playing pretty good golf. He does these things that I like. Usually a pretty good iron specialist. Augusta hasn't really been his best place. You can see I had the T18, his best finish, at least for the last 5 years. I think that's his best finish. But Yeah, I don't know. I just haven't seen enough of Terrell Hatton to get too excited. Answer no. This is what your game has been. Now you could look at not too bad a course history, but you can see he's not making putts. There's nothing about Abraham Answer right now. Also, what was it? A stomach bug is why he pulled out of the Valero. So I'm sure he's totally fine. No issues there. Sergio Garcia, funny enough, after you won in 2017, you haven't made a cut since. I would, typically blame the putter. It's kind of shocking that around the green, he's usually pretty good around the green, and that his irons are that bad off. Let me go take a look here. Yeah. Okay. So his irons are definitely not where they were. So no thank you for Mr. Sergio. All right. So next guy that I'm landing on is my buddy Russ Henley. Of course, he's been playing really good golf. Cost me some money at the Sony when he lost to Hideki in the playoff, but neither here or there. I forgive him. And you can see, good showing at the Players, API, both very tough tournaments to score well at. He does what I want from ball striking. He's actually a really good putter at times, I should say. Typically was always showing up on Bermuda, as you see, is a really good putter. But yeah, you can see the putter has been working. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out of his last 8 events, he's gained strokes against the field. So I'm in on Russ, especially at that price tag. I like that price tag. You see ownership's a little high right now. And also he has, not that bad of a record here. Now, last time he played here was 2018, where he had a T15, a T11, a 21st, a T31. So, good course history, knows the course. But like I said, it's been a little bit. The course has changed a bit. What's interesting about Augusta, if you look at when that course first opened, it was 6,800 yards in length, and then within just the last year was 7,475 yards, which is now gained over to 7,500 yards. So it's an evolving course. So it's gonna, probably some things that he's a little new, but I'm sure the gist of it, he's got plenty of course history and knows what to do there. Fitzpatrick, also you can see from a modeling perspective, is firing on all cylinders, and pretty nice recent form. A T6 at Pebble Beach, T10 at Phoenix, T9 at Arnold Palmer. He missed the cut at the Players, but again, can't hold that against him. I'm guessing he had an afternoon tee time and a T5, and also course history. He's played there 5 times minimum, and nothing great, but best showing was a T21. And he does the things again like a Henley, like a lot of the guys, not all of them, but a lot of the guys that I'm falling to have good short games along with decent ball striking. You got to have it all, but I really like that they when I fall there. Fleetwood, funny enough, I think he's been playing pretty decent golf. He's also got a decent course history here, so I couldn't fault you. I might sprinkle in some Fleetwood, but I'm not going to make my core 15. Of course, Paul Casey, right? Also dealing with some injuries. Pretty good showing at the Players. Should have won that, right? Not won it, but he got robbed. I believe that was on 15. I'm going to forget where the ball rolled into another impression that someone else had. But I've been playing pretty good golf. He's had good course history, best showing at least in the last 5. I'm not pulling up his whole history. Was a 6 in 2017, but really, like I said, to go too far further back than 5 years when I don't think makes a whole lot of sense. The putter, right? Short game is showing not the greatest, but typically it's the putter with Paul Casey. It's the guy that I'm landing at 7,600. You can see ownership's high. Of course, he had that shocking, I think it was kind of shocking, that TA finish last year, especially with what, typically his putter is lack of, is Corey Connors. He had a good showing in the fall, but that was the fall, right? You also had Dylan Fratelli, who ended up, I think, 4th, which, kind of shocking. So he's been around the track 4 times. You can see he does everything really well over the last 6 tournaments he's played. Not the best showing at the Valero, especially for him. Of course, I had him for a 1 and done, so that makes total sense. So I'm expecting he'll have a little bit of a comeback. And let's go look at what every surface over the last 12 months he's lost. Let me see where he's had his last gain on bent. So that's all Bermuda, a lot of Bermuda. Charles Schwab, I think that's bent. Yeah, Colonial. So, like I said, I'm not too worried about it. I mean, he got around there the T8, a T10 before. So, for that price tag, I think it's a good value. Of course, ownership is showing that too right now, at least projected. And of course, I'll not tomorrow, but Wednesday, I'll come out with my before the lock show because no reason to do it a day early. Try to get you guys the most relevant information. But yep, I like Corey Connors. Webb Simpson, I've said this 1,000 times. I'm just, I'll show Webb's had a pretty good, history here, especially recently at T12, T10. I still think Webb's game's kind of broken. Um, Even that, let's go look at some of his stats. All right, so the irons have been off, the driver's been off, the putter's been hit or miss. And for Webb, as far as I'm concerned, he needs to gain about 3 strokes with the putter. He definitely does not have the length, but right now he doesn't have the accuracy too. So, hence why I'm on a Webb. I told you Justin Rose, one of the guys that has the most course history here. I think he missed a cut once out of 16 tries, something like that. His game has been very one round, 118 holes. He does very well, and then not so well. So I'll sprinkle him in because I just think it could happen here, as in not that he's going to win, but for that price tag, he could definitely get you a top 10, which we've seen. 3 out of the last 5, he's almost done that. So Billy Hull's been playing good golf. Not the best course history here, but he had to withdraw out the players. No big deal there, but really good sampling here. And also, again, made it, he made it out of his pod, but got knocked out by Scheffler at the match play. But again, he'll get sprinkled in. He's not making my top 15. Patrick Reed showed a little bit of life recently. Of course, past winner, and had that T8 last year, which let's go look at that. I want to see what his game was like. He won the Farmers, and pretty much since then it was pretty ugly. Of course, he's got these miscuts here. Let's go all the way back to the Masters. All right, he had that 8th. He won the Farmers. So he's playing pretty good golf here. 22 at the Players. 9th here, missed a cut. The Valspar, and then still pretty decent golf. Trying to figure out what his, and then it's been pretty ugly. The Bermuda, do what you want with that. He had a 2nd, but that's a pretty weak field. Miscut, a 68. Yeah, if you want to differentiate, I'll probably maybe put him in a team or two. But yeah, you can see the bottom of the barrel from ball striking, approach, and off the tee over his last 6 events. So that's a struggle. Bubba, of course, loves this course, has done very well here. Recently not as great, but 2019 at T12, T5, great course history. He almost had a win on the DP. Well, I don't say DP. Was it the Asian Tour where Harold Varner sunk that 90-footer for Eagle? He came in 2nd, so he's had some success international. Not the best in recent form. So with that said, again, maybe that's, you want to put that all Masters team together, from historically. Those guys could go together. Same with Leishman's had a pretty good history here. His recent form's not been good. The putter is nowhere near where it should be for Leishman. I've always said he reminds me a lot of Cam. Not terrible, but here he was gaining 7 strokes, and then he's barely, just over the hump. And the driver's been a little off irons. But playing good golf early and kind of started to fall back a little bit recently. But again, I could see definitely sprinkling him in a little bit. Ownership's a little more excited about that. And that 7,300 is a pretty good value. Seamus Power, no experience, but I like Seamus. I think he's got a good game for here. So even though he's not making my top 15 and he has no experience from a PGA sanctioned event, or this is a PGA sanction, from a professional event, but I might sprinkle him in. Kokrak should make good sense here. You can see not a ton of history, and what he has is not good. But his also, I feel like his game has been really sporadic. But what I was saying is, of course, he won at Shadow Creek. He's actually from, I think, out of this field, has the most strokes gained on, well, no, that's not showing up. Maybe it was recently. Let's go take a look at this real fast. All right, so he gained 10 strokes, which, of course, he knew those greens at Shadow Creek also, but those are bent. Is that Bermuda? Nope, that's bent. But anyways, he's had some good, like Charles Schwab where he won. He's had some spike bent weeks, so you can make a stretch there. Siwoo Kim actually had a pretty good showing here last year, right at T12. Pretty solid last 4. For 7,100, I would almost put him as a value play. I think he would be, he's very volatile, but could be a good value play. and not, T13 at Valero. He's just very up or down, right? He's a very hit or miss. So the last guy I'm going to talk about that I'm going to be looking at, again, we're looking at the guys above 7,000, is Max Homa. That's where I'd rather go. I think Max mentally knows he could win this thing. I think he's a great bet. He's 100 to 1 on points bet, 80 to 1 on DraftKings. So I've already bet him at that 100 to 1. Of course, he's got, miscuts, but he has been around here twice. I think his game is an elite form. And I've always said when you see this, a T13, a 17, a T10, that means good things typically are coming. Now, it might not be here. And of course, he had a win just recently. What, the Fortinetti, right? Kicked off the first event of the year. We already know he's tough tracks. He wins at. Kind of shocked that his game hasn't done better here. I mean, again, he's been here twice recently, but I'm all over Max. You can see ownership's actually a little higher than you would think with that kind of. Typically, people look at course history and be like, oh, especially here. But I think Max is sneaky. We'll see how that all shakes out with him. But I'm all over. I'll play Max all day at 7,100. All right. Well, that said, let's jump back. I'm going to summarize this for you guys and get you out of here. Okay, so to summarize my top Fab 5 picks for the 2022 Masters. Of course, I'm going to go with DJ. I think he cares a little bit again. Of course, he won back in the fall Masters, we'll call it. And but I liked what I seen at the match play. When he wants to play, man, look what he did at the Ryder, right? Win every point he played. I mean, I do believe there's certain guys on tour, this is my own theory, like a Koepka, like a DJ, that they shine in the big moments. He's going to want to bring his A game. And when he has his A game, it's maybe better than anyone else's A game, or at least right up there. So also, I like what he's been doing with the putter. So I like DJ. Of course, JT. I think everybody's kind of, this is probably the pick that, if it goes kapooey, could definitely help you from a DFS perspective. So, but everything tells you that JT should be a good play here. If the putter inside 10 feet does, or even out, the 15 footers or 10 footers, if his putter's on, he could definitely win this thing. Victor Hovland, same thing, putter, elite, tee to green. Not a, little bit of course history, but not bad. He actually won he won the amateur Masters status, whatever, when he played back, I think it was 2018. Of course, Cam Smith. I think a lot of people are also on Cam. Everything says this should be a very good fit and great place where his game's at. And then Xander, of course, great course history, but his game has not been that great as far as I'm concerned. So we'll see if it gets elevated here. But that'd be my top 5. The on deck, my next 5. Leading off, Patrick Cantlay. Of course, I told you, just get a putter that you're excited about, that you feel good about, and all should be right as rain. Brooks Koepka, you're healthy. Your swing looks like you are at full 100% Brooks. So, the putter goes. Brooks could do very well. Berger typically, has shown that he hasn't done that great here and on bigger tracks, but I think his game is in a great place, and he's a great putter. So, that's usually on Bermuda, but I don't have any problems with him on the bend. Lowry, been playing great golf. Just keep doing what you've been doing. And then Burns, you're my one rookie with no experience, at least on the books. But I think you've got the game that could translate here and do very well. And then last but not least, my unsung, of course, Adam Scott, one of the old guards of the Masters. What I'd say, he missed a cut twice out of, I don't know, whatever it is, 19 times, whatever it is. And his game's been looking good. If you take his last 4 or 5 tournaments, he looks like a little bit back to Adam Scott. Russ Henley, again, when you were playing here, it's been a while, but, well, not a while, but a few years. You've had good showings, and your game's been, I think, elite. And I love the irons, and hopefully the putter translates. But Ben Fitzpatrick, good all-around game, great form, and a pretty decent course history here. Of course, Corey Connors, pretty good, decent, recent history at here, and elite tee to green. It's just the putter. If he can do what he did at the match play, and also what he has done here in the past, we would be all right. And last but not least, probably the one that I think is a great bet, and is Max Homa, 100 to 1 for a guy that's won some big tournaments. Yes, he hasn't done that great here, but I think his game's in a really good spot. So that rounds out my top 15 plays. And with that said, of course, there is Hideki's caddy bound. I thought that was one of the coolest pictures. That is it for my pick show. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I hope this helps you from all different perspectives. If you're betting, if you are from a DFS perspective, hope this helps. Click that like button. Share with anybody else that you think, hey, might be betting just one time on the Masters. And if you'd like to subscribe, and if you're going to maybe do a little more, Or, of course, if you've not subscribed yet, click that subscribe button. And don't forget for the giveaway, let me know who you think is going to win the Masters. Get in that giveaway. And last but not least, follow me on Twitter. I always put up-to-date information about withdrawals or anything I see that you guys should know about. And with that said, super excited for the Masters. We're just starting to get the coverage and getting fully into it. So I will talk to you guys. If I have something to give you tomorrow, I will, but I will come out on Wednesday with my Before the Lock show. All right, talk to you guys later. Have a great day.